Hello and welcome back to Crafting with Kara. So today we've got Ginger here, and it's a nice day out, so that's why we're in the sunroom. Mahogany is sitting in the backyard and enjoying herself as well. So today we are going to be talking about the Chicago Yarn Con, which is the yarn convention, which is real fun, and I'll give you a little bit of an update about the project that I'm working on. First things first, I'm wearing a shawlography because it is so warm, and I might even take it off. We'll see. Draped over here is my Caitlin Hunter Swancho, and the reason it's here is because, yes, hello Ginger. This is what I ended up wearing to YarnCon. So if you went to the Chicago Yarn Convention and you saw this lovely little number, it was me. Hey. So that was a fun one. It was a nice temperature for the day, so there was lots of sweaters to see, lots of things. It wasn't too hot. Sometimes it's a bummer when in April, Chicago Yarn Con is always in April, when sometimes it's a little too warm to wear some of your knitwear. But it was just fantastic. I loved going. I took the train in and I saw, like, even just getting off the train and walking towards the place where the Plumbers Union Hall where it was, I saw so many people in knit sweaters, and it was fun that we all gave each other like knowing nods, or like someone even was, oh, nice sweater, and I love your scarf. So it was very much like as soon as you got there, you knew like these are my people, which was fantastic. So it was in the Chicago's Union Hall. I'll get out the brochure now. So it was YarnCon, and this happens every year. So if you missed it this year, you can always look out next year. It's in April. You know, this time it was, I think, the second Saturday. But no matter what, you can always look on the website and it'll tell you when it is. Oh, look, it even says plan ahead for next year. It's April 3rd and 4th, so it's early next year. So there we go. See, plan ahead for next year. So that's really fun. It gave you, lots of information. It told you all the different vendors' names as well as who you could find. And I got to see some old favorites as well as seeing some new exciting stuff. So this was the floor plan of the main floor, and then they had a top third booth, a third floor that kind of was like a balcony, and then there was a basement floor as well. So that was that. Oh yeah. No, this must have been the coffee and seating area. Okay, yeah, that's different. That wasn't the basement. But it was fantastic. It was great to see everybody. Don't lick your feet, please. So I loved going. It was so fun to see. I personally did not want to spend that much money on yarn. I knew I had a whole bunch at home, so I was trying to avoid buying lots of yarn, but I definitely wanted to go and wanted to see, which was a great time. If you are unfamiliar, I think I've mentioned it in the past, but I got this sent in the mail by one of my mom's friends, and she has an alpaca farm, and she sheared all this. She was like, I don't have any plans to like turn this into things. I just, like my llamas or alpacas, and you can have this. So I have this huge bag, and it needs to be washed and carded and all the different things, but eventually I want to turn it into yarn. So luckily for me, I found a drop spindle there. So this one is a very beginner drop spindle. They talked about that it's a bottom weighted drop spindle and that a lot of the YouTube videos are top weighted drop spindles. It's just a matter of like where your yarn, once you've made it into string, where you like kind of turn it into a bobbin. So I'm looking forward to this. And I then also, this is the part where it's my yarn haul. I also ended up from the same place getting some roving, just some like practice roving. So I got a little bit of green, and this is from Wool Weed, and it says Julie D. Rio, and it's got her email information as well. This one, they didn't have business cards that I could show, but this is their information, and I'll put it in the information as well. So these two were some of the first things I got because this was on my list to get. I was very excited. And so then I got myself some beautiful colored roving. At the time, I went after work on Saturday, and so I went at 4 o'clock. I only spent about an hour there. And there's that business card, if you're curious. And so by the time I got there on Saturday at 4 o'clock, and this is a 2-day event, so they had all of Sunday as well, and they were sold out of the top spindles, and they were sold out of the natural non-dyed roving, which I love color anyway, so I'm very excited to get this. But it's just like, wow, they were doing really well with just Saturday. And I think it's because they were the only drop spindle place, because I walked around and they were the only ones that I saw. So look at all these beautiful different colors and tones. I'm so excited to see what it becomes because I've never done this before, to know how these colors translate into string and then how that translates into a project. So it's going to be so cool to watch it all unfold. I'm really excited to like take something from the beginning. And I know that this is dyed and, you know, like already a little bit of like manufacturing's gone into it, but it's all because like I want to practice with some of this and then I'll get to working on this. They didn't have carders, but they talked about just using 2 dog brushes and just kind of like using that. It'll take a lot longer, but that's okay. Most of the time I've got time. So that I'm really excited about. And then I'll have to figure out what to do with like this beautiful natural color. So this is something I got, and again, this was at Woolweed, which was really great. I also was looking for, because with my current project, that's like the cardigan that's made out of all the blues and greens, and just throughout the year, I've been finding moments where people at like Knit Club or, you know, Sit and Stitch, they are asking for, does anyone have like a gauge or a ruler or anything like that? And I in fact do, but at home. So I always have this gauge magnifier at home, and I never end up bringing it places because I have stitch markers that are in little mint tins, and this can't fit inside there. Other things like my little scissors, they fit inside my mint tin. And so I ended up realizing I want something a little bit larger, kind of like a pencil case, so that I can put this inside as well as the darning needle, stitch markers, my needle stoppers, different things like that. Because again, and like, for example, right now, because I ended up buying one, I've got my crochet hook, and it's for like emergency, like drop down, turn it into a purl versus a knit. I was hoping at YarnCon to also find like a little keychain of 3 different size crochet hooks as like an emergency repair kit, but I know that exists somewhere else in the world. So I didn't end up finding it there, but I will just find it somewhere else. So because I want to tote this around a lot of places, I wanted to get like a pencil case that can end up holding my stitch markers as well as just a few other things like this that are larger. So right now I've got a darning needle, some needle stoppers, and what will be stitch markers, but those are in a different bag right now. So I ended up getting this little pencil case. I know I could have gone to the dollar store and literally just gotten an actual pencil case for like $1, but it's nice to support local business, and I thought this was so pretty. I even went to like 3 or 4 different booths, and either they had like a vinyl pocket, which then made it like way too expensive for my personal taste, or the fabric just wasn't so cute. So I went to like 4 or 5 different vendors before I found this pencil case, and I really enjoyed it. It was from 2 women who were from Ohio. They even talked to me about, they were so excited, they were turning it this weekend into a Chicago like trip. And so we talked about museums they could go to. They were going to go to Wonder, which was fun. And they talked about what food they were eating. It was nice to chat with them. So we made a little connection, and I'll put their information in there. But yeah, if you want to support, they had this as well as yarn and as well as other larger project bags as well. So that was a fun one to get. And then I went to my favorite shop. So if you've been following, you might be familiar. my first local yarn store was Llama Llama Ding Dong, and it was the south side of Chicago. It then closed and became online only, as well as going to these different yarn conventions. And then I went to Miss Pearl, which was also fabulous, and that one also closed, which is why I was so excited for YarnCon, because it's like a place where you can finally go and see things. Aside from going all the way to either downtown Chicago to like Yarnify, or there's many other places, Knit One, I'm trying to think, Blooming Spindle I think is one as well. That one I have yet to go to, but it's pretty awesome, I hear. And then there's other ones in the Chicagoland area, like in Elgin, Woolen Company, highly recommend, so much inventory, as well as a few others that are further away as well. In Glen Ellen, there is String Theory. So all these places are great, but it was nice to just be able to hop on the L, do a quick walk from the L and go to the Plumbers Union and go see all the different things from far away. So from people from Ohio, people from Wisconsin, all these different places. So this one's a local favorite of mine because it's the Llama Llama Ding Dong sisters, Yax and Rue. They now are doing just craft fairs and then selling online. So their company is called RMR. They do RMR yarns. So the yarn store was called Llama Llama Ding Dong, and even then they dyed their own yarn, and it was RMR, which that way it was like a different subsidiary. So I'll show off some of the yarn that I got at RMR. Oh, I forgot there's one more thing. I got some self-striping yarn too. So I'll talk about that in just a second. But so the actual yarn that I bought, so I got a kit here. And so it's for a pattern to be here. I really liked, I made a similar shawl like this with different colors. Except this one's going to be neutrals with like this beautiful rainbow pop. So that one I'm really looking forward to. And then I've got this scarf as well. So this one's going to turn into this, which is two different weight yarns. It's a bulky and I think a DK, but you can also use fingering. And I used these gorgeous colors, which I love together. So this, the bottom one's the bulky yarn, that green. Pardon the crinkling. So this is the bulky yarn here. And then there's going to be some like thin kind of webbing yarn, which will be this. So I'll show again. Like this is what it's going to look like. And where that dark purple is will be the green and blue. And then where that lighter, brighter pink is going to be this yellow. I've made one of these shawls or cowls already back when they had the store, because it was one of the samples there. And so I had the pattern, which is exciting, and now I get to make this for myself instead of it being a gift. So I'm looking forward to that. And I gotta say, as much as my rules about like I'm trying to, again, pardon the crinkling. As much as I was hoping to be casting off things, getting these two projects, I'm so excited and I really want to cast them on. So we will see what will happen there. I got a few more things from RMR, which I was very excited about. They also had roving, so I got some of this roving. It's twice as much grams weight as that green bag. So this one's 2 ounces and this is 4 ounces. Yeah, so not grams, which is interesting because when you talk in yarn, you talk in grams. So it's interesting to go from ounces to grams. I'm looking forward to seeing that conversion rate to see like how long this actually goes. And I know it's based on if it's fingering weight versus, sport versus DK, that's going to like decrease the yardage. But I think the physical grams will be the same. Like, is this 100 grams? I'm not sure. So I got this beautiful colorway. And then on the back side, you can see that it looks braided. This one's just named One of a Kind. So it's OOAK, which again, so curious to see. Once I spin this up, what is that going to look like? Like, will the pink and green like still be in that string, or will it all be blended together within the twisting itself? So I've got some drop spindling to practice with, and then hopefully eventually I get to this behemoth of a project, which is really fun. So I was just really excited about this, and so I ended up splurging and getting some of this because I want to see how that works. So in my opinion, I bought 2 projects of yarn, and I'll probably finish them within the year. And then I got roving, which doesn't count as buying yarn. Somehow in my mind that's different. So even though I was trying actively to try to decrease my yarn purchasing, if it's for a project, if it's for roving, I get an exemption. And then I also got this beautiful project bag, which again is from RMR. This one's beautiful. I love the neutrals with the color pops. I think it's so great. I even, this one I had purchased and then I walked around somewhere else and someone was like, you should make a sweater that's based off of these colors. I was like, you're right. This is gorgeous. So, it's got this beautiful purple lining. There are pockets on the inside. There are pockets on the outside. There's zippers. It's just so great. And in my mind, I told myself I didn't need more project bags, but I loved seeing what Yax and Rue had made, and so I was very excited. Isn't it just so pretty? I absolutely love it. And then I got one more thing at YarnCon, and that's self-striping yarn. And this is even 2 bundles already, so this is going to be socks. That's what I'm going to make from it. And you can see here what the stripes will look like. So it's very much like yellows within yellows and then blues within blues. And then there's a little hiccup of black and white. And I had already loved the colorway. And when I went to check out, so this one's from BAH Yarns. So it's Ba, but it's BA and then capital H Yarns. When I went to check out, they told me the story of this colorway. So not only is this Van Gogh inspired, but it's also Doctor Who TARDIS inspired, because there's a great image that's very Van Gogh-esque with the TARDIS inside. And so that's where that little black and white stripes inside, there's kind of an homage to the TARDIS there. So I'm looking forward to making these. I think they're so cool. It was really fun to get to know these women and hear them. Hi, Mahogany. You're such a pretty... Oh, she's so hot. She's so hot from sitting out in the sun. You want to come up? Come here. Come here, Mahog. No, she's just going to sniff all the roving. So it was really great to hear their stories and to hear their color talk about everything. So this one, I talked about It's Shattered Time. And this, I feel like it's very hard to find dyed self-striping. That was this whole booth shtick. So if you are interested in buying some self-striping, I'll put the link in there, but that's their logo. So it's Ba Yarns. They had, stuff that turned into watermelons all by itself, like the pink with the black seeds and then green at the bottom. They had other colors like yellows and pinks and grays, all in one sock, which was beautiful. So definitely look into them if you are interested in self-striping. It was just so fabulous to see them. I was very excited. And that was honestly one of the few places that had self-striping yarn. It must take just so much effort as hand dyers to get the self-striping to work out. So again, that's their information. There's their email right there as well. There we go. So very excited. It's so much fun. I highly recommend, and as I mentioned, you should go. So you should go next year. It will be April 3rd and 4th next year. So it's a Saturday and a Sunday. I know last year there were quite a few, what am I trying to say? Last year there were quite a few, you could sign up and take classes. I'm not sure if this year there was that opportunity. I knew I was too busy for it. Even the day that I went, I was working, and then the next day I was working as well. So It's lucky for me that I've got a busy work schedule that I'm getting paid, but yeah, I was definitely like, oh, I would have loved to spend more time at YarnCon, but I got to see it. I got to do a quick zip through an hour, and then literally as I was buying like the last thing, they were saying, oh, here's the last raffle prize, and then everyone needs to go home if you're like a guest, if you're one of the customers. And they literally turned out the lights. So it was so funny that I shut down YarnCon. I was one of the last ones who stuck around the whole time. But when you only come for the last hour, you're going to soak up every last minute you can. I know in the past, there have been food trucks. So if you go, definitely look out for food trucks. These ones were the ones here today for this past week. And that was really fun. So this time they had Mexican sandwiches and the bao place. Last year they had the dumplings and baos and rice balls, and that was great too. So that one's yum dum. Highly recommend. It was so much fun. So loved all of that. Very exciting. So that's me talking about YarnCon. Now I'm going to pivot to my project. It'll only be a few minutes, and we'll chat about that. So I've been making a cardigan where I've made so many modifications to the original that it hardly even looks like the original project, but I wanted to show you where I'm at now. So I still haven't worked on the sleeves yet, but I've gotten a lot further. I've almost covered up the pocket. So you can see that before the pockets were like dangling, and now I've gotten quite a few inches of covering that up. So we've got the pocket here, and then we've got all these colors added, which I think are just so pretty. I think once I'm done, I'm going to pick up stitches here and add just a little solid color border, kind of like make a reference to the shoulder bits where this is one solid color instead of it being marled. I think I'm going to do that to the top of the pocket. I've got this right here, and it's got all the stitches, so that way I can zip through, pick up all the stitches. And I'm either going to do more of the very light blue, but I also might do just a pretty green that I like, that I feel like meshes with it. I don't necessarily want it to blend, like it's not like I have to use like the dark green here. So it can be like a color pop if I want it to. And then I'm going to knit it for maybe like 2 inches, and then I will stitch the top to like this part here, so that way it kind of gives the flap and like closes here, and then it'll add to that like strength in the pocket. So I'm very excited. And again, I've gotten like, I don't know, 7 more inches. I could even go get my ruler and use it, but these are the colors that I've added. It's been extra fun to go to like knit clubs and stitch alongs and be like, oh, I'm almost done with, this being a solid color. Which color should I use next? So like today I have a yarn club to go to, and I'm bringing these 3 colors with me because I don't need to have all 45 of my little bundles of yarn. So I'll pick like 3 that I'm, this will come up. I'm not sure which color, but we'll see. And then I'll kind of even ask the group if I feel like it. Sometimes I just do it myself, especially if the conversation doesn't lend itself to me like interjecting. But if there's like a lull in the conversation, I'll be like, let's put it out to the group. Which one of these guys do you want to go next? So last Monday, there was a moment like that, and just the person next to me, just me and her, hit a pause, and I was like, Kelsey, what do you think? Which color should go next? And so that's why we went with this like speckled blue. So that's Kelsey's pick. So that's really fun. And there's been a few moments like that where it's like, oh, and this was so-and-so's input, and this was, so it's like I'm blending their love in, which is really fun. So we'll see how much longer this is going to get, because I knew I had to cover the pockets. That was a requirement. And then after that, I'll be trying it on to see like where I want it to hit, whether it's above my hip or at my hip or past it. And then I'll have to decide what to do with the border, because I assume I'm going to do just a little something at the end, whether that's going to be marled, whether that's going to be one color. I don't know. And then I'll get to go on to the sleeves. And that'll be just knitting in the round, which will be just so pleasant as well. Just pure stockinette. So I'm really looking forward to this. And I love that as I'm creating it, the button band's already done. Because I have so many cardigans. So many is a hyperbole. I have 2 cardigans where I've done everything. Cuffs are done on the sleeves. The bottom's done. If anything else needs to be done, it's done, except for the button band. And that's either because at one point I didn't know how to do button bands. I didn't know how to pick it up and how to knit with it. Now I do. And there's another one that I've gotten to that same point, and I hate the way the shoulders are, which is why I did saddle shoulders for this one. So I hate the way the shoulders are, so I just never ended up doing the button band because I got all that way, and then I was like, I don't like the way it fits me. Now I'm curious with that one, if I block it out, if it'll like make it less severe. So I should keep going and actually just push through. But yeah, I definitely have 2 cardigans where it's like the button band is the thing that stops me. Instead of having second sock syndrome, I've got button band syndrome. So it's really nice to know that with this one, button band's done already, baby. The buttonholes and everything. It's awesome. So loving that. It's going so great. This is such like a mindless, joyful project for me, and I'm loving it. So that is what I've been up to. I do want to say, if you're a fan of Ginger, if you're one who comes here for, of course I want to come here for the dogs. That's why I always talk about them. But if you specifically love Ginger, then get your kicks in while you can, because Ginger's going home. We've been watching her for a friend this whole year, and she is going back home to real mom at the end of May. Yeah, Ginger. So Ginger is going to go see mom at the very end of May, May 31st or 30th. We'll have to see which weekend day works better. And she's going to get to see her again. So very excited for Ginger. But we also will be glad to, Mahogany, will have a little bit of a break, and she'll have to get used to being a solo dog for a little bit. But who knows, maybe we'll get a second dog or something like that. So the future's up for grabs, but if you are one who loves seeing Ginger, then get your video watching in now. Yeah, look at you. Thank you. Get your video watching in now while we still have her. While we still have this little Frenchie girl. She's been so sweet lately. I've really been loving her. But don't worry, she has been peeing in the house plenty. Even this morning, she peed in the bedroom. So she's super great. She shouldn't be on the couch right now. But this isn't a real couch. This couch doesn't count. So yeah, get your cuddles in with Ginger. Get your little video love with Ginger while you can. And then Mahogany will be back to being the center stage star puppy. All right, it's been lovely. I hope you're enjoying the weather. If you're in Chicago, then enjoy the summertime. Yeah, it's a good spot. Then enjoy all the summertime feeling, even though it's just spring. And enjoy those trees blossoming and everything like that. So have a great time, and I will see you in the next video. Remember, enjoy your crafting, and if you're not loving it, take a break, walk away. Or, what I've picked up, maybe work on something a little bit more mindless. And then you can go to that crazy, very intricate lace work or something. I'm always one who likes to have multiple projects on the go for the different levels that my brain's willing to put in activity. The drop spindle women, we're really talking about how they can drop spindle like anytime, all the time, because it takes, once you get the hang of it, it takes very little. It's even more like knitting in the round kind of vibes. So enjoy your time and enjoy your crafting. Craft like you only live once, and enjoy your day. All right, it's been lovely. Thanks for your time. Bye.